Hi, this is Demetria Clark, and this is the Heart of Herbs Herbal School podcast. And today we are talking to Amanda Hutchison. And this podcast is part of the podcast series that we're doing for Heart of Herbs Herbal School at heartofherbs.com. Amanda, I'm really excited to have you here. This
Likewise.
is, excuse me?
Likewise.
Yeah, okay. So this is a part of a series that I am doing that's a little bit different. We are an herbal school, and so I always obviously want to talk about herbs and all this other stuff, but I felt it was kind of time that we start highlighting herbal professions that aren't classical and traditional herbalism. And that's where you come in. And everyone who is listening, Amanda is, and tell me if I'm saying this wrong, the artistic and creative director of HerbRally. Is that good?
That's perfect. You got that. Yep.
I was saying to Mason the other day when we interviewed him that there is something so unique about your visit to HerbRally. It has a feel that is like none other. And I'm going to attribute a lot of that to your creative abilities and, all of that, the work that you do that's part of that. So, can you tell me exactly what you do at HerbRally and how you came to that and your education behind that? And then we'll do the herbal connections later. And if that's too much, just do one at a time and then we'll go wherever we
I,
go.
I might do the one at a time and you can remind me, but thank you. You're making me cheese over here and my cheeks are already hurting. So I appreciate all those kind words. Um, but yeah, how I got into Herb Rally, maybe I'll start with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a long story, but I'll make it short and sweet. Me and Mason, we met at Monroe's Herbs and we were working in similar departments. He was in the marketing and I was in the creative. And yeah, we just worked hand in hand. As you already know, there's a little like
He loved you.
little flirting here and there, but we kept it like brother and sister. And we just built that chemistry. Um, and yeah, eventually, we got together and yeah, we're essentially right now doing what we did on Rose Herb. So I was the creative photographer for the longest time. It was just me and Thomas doing video stuff as well. I did some random little illustration, slight graphic design here and there, mostly like posters and whatnot. Just big into the creative department. And yeah, Mason, as a lot of people know, he was the herbal connector and making all these beautiful connections and at events and whatnot. And so when we got together, it just all kind of made sense. He already had this side hustle going on. And it was just, we were bringing a lot of ideas to Herb Rally, like just kind of fantasizing. And so we're like, oh, let's like really dive into Herb Rally and like make this thing that we want it to be. And so, yeah, I do a lot of the creative background. The website was really functional. And that was like my first project is like diving into the website. And
I remember the first website.
it was, Wix, no, he was on Squarespace. They make it really easy to like, if you have no background, you can
Mhm.
you can make a pretty decent website. But that was just like a very easy first Amanda project was do a lot of the creative things here and there for the website. And then when Mason started getting like into being in front of the camera or had these ideas for frugal nutrition or the YouTube was then like starting, we're like, let's throw in some of the Amanda creative video
Mhm.
projects. So that really took off. So yeah, two main big things were like website, creating new pages and whatnot, and then really jumping into like video work to build that YouTube library. And yeah.
So you brought up something that's really important. So
Yeah.
we'll have to give Mason props. You've got to have a website, no matter what it looks like. You got to be able to start. But
Yes.
you could see the second your influence started there. It was just like, and when I was talking to him, I was saying, like, you can see that it's this connection. It isn't like one whole vision, it's really this collaboration. And I
Yeah.
think that when users go there, they feel that collaboration. And so they feel like they're part of it. Does that make sense? Like, it's like, this isn't just a place that's teaching me something. This is a place that I'm going to grow with and that I'm going to change with and I'm going to be accessing more information at. And I think that as an artist, you should be really proud of being able to convey that message, because I don't think that's one that's easy to convey online, this feeling of sitting down and being at home. And so I think you guys did a really great job with that.
Thank you.
Where did you go to art school? Did you train as a photographer? Like, where did you get your chops and your inspiration for your style, which is, I think you have a very distinct style. So where did that come
Yeah.
from?
That's a great question. I think forever, I've always taken the approach of being that fly on the wall, like meaning I want it to feel welcoming and genuine, like you're kind of capturing a moment,
Mm-hmm.
and not so much stylizing. Um, and that's just like as a kid, and I guess bringing that as like me as a person is I'm not trying to be the center of attention. Like I'm always observing and like being out in nature. I just like to get lost in a field. And I think a lot of my inspiration was like, I'm wanting to capture this feeling or convey a message by just being there. And then with the luck of having a camera, like snap that photo. Um, so I self-taught a lot. My stepdad, when I was in fifth grade, he was that person that he would just pick up random hobbies and he'd just go 100% into it. Like he did like stained glass, he does like signage.
I'm married to a guy who has he's like he knows how to do everything
Yes.
or
So
he'll
he,
learn.
oh my gosh. So he actually like got into photography for a couple years. So he had like all this gear laying around. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? And bless his soul, like he let this little fifth grader run around with a camera and just kind of went from there. So it was a lot of like self-taught. I didn't like sit down and learn all the technical terms when it came to photography. So I did bring that into college. It was a liberal arts college, so it had a pretty decent like art program. So took some classes here and there, but at that point, I already had like a good understanding. I did like so I graduated with a graphic design degree.
Mhm.
So I did learn a lot of like the programming for illustration or that sort of thing. Um, so yeah, it's kind of a merge of like self-taught, just having fun with it, and then yeah, more of the technical stuff with graphic design. I went to school for that.
Well, I think it's evident that you are ruled by your creativity. I don't know if that's like a good thing to say. Like artistically, you go where it takes you. And I think that you can see that. And when you see the different things that you work on. So I think that's always like the best merge, right? Having the passion and then the whatever part kind of works with that. How did you get involved with Mountain Rose? Was that just like they were hiring and you were like, oh, I'll get this job? Or was it a friend of a friend? Or
Yeah, it was definitely so I moved out to Oregon right after college
Hmm.
because it was very easy for me to move back to my small hometown and
Hmm.
be that um the like wedding photographer or the engagement or family portraits. Like it was very easy to do that, but I had this calling and I don't know what it was. I just needed to go on an adventure and get out of that sort of like comfortable circle.
Hmm.
Um, so I moved out to Oregon and everyone thought I was crazy. And they're like, what's bringing you out there? I'm like, I just feel like there's something out there
My
regarding
destiny
like
here, people.
work. Yes. It's kind of funny. So my dad was a hippie. He lived in the Florida Keys for a couple of years in a tent. I aspired to be that hippie and I moved out to Oregon. I'm like, oh, I'm a poser. Like I just I had this stereotype about what a hippie was, but
I was the only deadhead on Dead Tour that like sent money home to the bank account
sure.
from selling stuff. I get it. I mean, and I lived in communes and stuff like that as a child,
Yeah.
but I was all with that, but I was always like the odd one out. So I understand
Yes.
that feeling of like, this is how I see myself. And then you're like, nah, not really. Like, I'm
Yep.
looking at a 401k at 19 or whatever, right? Like, I'm not quite there.
Exactly.
Not that I did
Exactly.
that. I mean, I looked at it, I didn't have any money for it.
For
Like,
sure.
so the kind of fish out of water, but obviously not. You were bringing where you were from probably made you a better fit
For
in a
sure.
lot of ways.
Yeah, totally. And then when being a year in Oregon, I was not like landing any job. Even like cleaning houses. And so I gave my mom like, give me 1 more month. It's gonna happen. It's gonna work out. And so my dad's partner, she's like, oh, I see this job opened up. Like you should apply for it. And I had some like product photography in my pocket, just a very little. And I had no idea who Mountain Rose Herbs was, but I know plants are beautiful. Like I was just drawn to that. Like a lot
Hmm.
of things clicked in my mind when I saw the job description. And so I just walked in there and I was myself and yeah, that's how I stumbled upon that. Maybe some luck, but yeah, I went into that interview and a lot of the times I'm like a nervous wreck when I go into an interview, but this time I was just very calm. I was honest with them. Like the only information I had about any herbs was like essential oils. And at that
Hmm.
time, I still didn't know what a essential oil was other than like, oh, I heard of it and tea. But yeah, he just Thomas, best boss ever. He just saw that I was a hard worker. He knew like I had the skill and the talent and yeah, it was yeah. I that job has forever like changed my life for the better and I'm just really grateful.
Well, it sounds like everything was lining up for you. You said, give me a month. And
Yeah.
then someone gives you a call or text and says, hey, check this out, right? And then you go
Yeah.
in and you're not nervous because you're like, this is where I need to be.
Yeah.
And everything fell in line. And how long did you work at Mountain Rose before you decided to embark upon HerbRally? Because I'm sure all of that experience has really been beneficial.
Oh my gosh, I truly went into that workspace every day and I was happy to be there. Like it didn't feel like a job and that's
Does
maybe
it
like,
smell amazing there?
so good.
I grew up, my neighbors were the largest essential oil and herbal import company. This is in the 80s. So this is before
Yeah.
like Frontier was even a thing, right?
Yeah.
And they used to sell to Frontier and they were our neighbors and they had this big barn that they would store stuff in, like a 4,000 square foot barn or something, maybe it was even bigger than that. And I
Yeah.
just remember always being like, they smell so good. I was like in fourth grade, like I think that's where my herbal stuff came from, some of it, but I was just curious if it smelled really good.
And it was like a totally different new world. and
Mm-hmm.
everything just smelled so real. Like when you think of a lavender or rose and you're going to all
Mm.
these other perfume places and it just felt, yeah, it felt
Like, whoa.
refreshing for sure. Yeah.
I remember introducing my husband to non-head shop patchouli.
Sure.
Like, this is what it's supposed to smell like. And he was like,
Right.
whoa, this is amazing. I was like, yeah, that's probably why he married me. But anyways, no. But it's like so those environments really can teach us so much just by walking into the space. And it sounds like they were really supportive of your journey and gave
Yeah.
you freedom to explore your craft.
Totally. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better mentor. Like Thomas, he like right away on day one, he's like, the main thing you have to do is like just have fun with it. That's where you create your best work. If you need to take a break or step away, like whatever you need to do in order to have like a free mind to do whatever. Um, yeah, that was just sort of like set right away, like have fun. And it was a bit of a learning curve because again, like I didn't have any knowledge. Like I remember the first blog photo shoot that I did for them. I believe it was a fire cider. And I
Mhm.
didn't know like you strain it out for the end product. So I'm like, that was the only thing that you could do wrong is like misinterpret or like the step by step sort of things.
And
But
everyone will let you know, right?
oh my gosh,
The
yeah.
internet is always like so willing to let you know.
Yes.
It's a mistake, man. That's it. Just a mistake.
Yeah. And even then it was like, oh, it's okay. Like we're here
Yeah.
to learn and grow. And yeah, after close to 4 years being there, like you just start to understand and learn as you go. So yeah, it was a wonderful place to work and to get a little foot in the door in this beautiful little world that I had no idea existed. So,
So when you and Mason are talking and you guys start floating this idea around, right?
yes.
Like, how scared were you to think about taking the, because he said he was nervous. How scared were you? Were you like, dude, you've got this? Or were you just like, sink or swim, we're in it together?
Yeah, I think he mentioned like he's a bit more calculated risk taker where
Hmm.
I think everything that I do, if I have that good feeling, then I just know it's going to work out and I can't tell you how it's going to work out or why, but I just yeah, I'm a very like all in. Even if we sink, it's not going to be that bad. We're going to figure it out. So
Oh,
I
what's that song? If we go down together.
yes. Yes,
Like
that's
that.
definitely like how I approach a lot of things. So I think with me and Mason, like we balance that out. Like if he gets too far into his head, I'm like, it's gonna be okay. And vice versa. I'm just like, fake it till you make it, or like my confidence is way above, like, maybe we should sit down and think about it a little bit. So like there's a good merge between that. So I was all for it, it made sense to me. And yeah, the fact that he already grew at that point, I think he's like close to 4 or 5 years of having that side business. So yeah, I had no worries. He
That's
did.
awesome.
Yeah.
So, what was the biggest struggle setting up this new herbal business together? Or what were the things that surprised you? So, I'll just share, I'm always surprised how mean people are if you say no,
Yeah.
So I'm always like, I just said no. I didn't say like, you suck. I just said no. Like, no, I
Yeah.
can't do that. Like, so what was like a big surprise for you or like big challenge that you didn't anticipate?
I think, hmm, I think the overall biggest surprise is, or like challenge for us is merging like our personal life with our work life and like learning how to communicate with each other and like the switching on like, okay, right now we're business partners, and then being able to switch off like, okay, now we're husband and wife, or like we're a partner here and there. I think just like it flew pretty well when we're like working with each other. We have all these grand ideas. We're very flexible. We hear each other out. But I think just learning how like that balance, because Mason's very like, I think it's hard for him to turn off sometimes like when we need to. And again, I
He
think
said you were great at no working during certain times, or he mentioned
we're
something
better
like that.
now.
And
We're better now.
I was like, that's awesome. I was like, good for her. That's good, you know.
Yeah. After a couple like, and I totally get it. Like we just quit our jobs. We need to go at it 100 miles per hour. But yeah, just constantly communicating and readjusting and reevaluating here and there.
Well, you don't want to
Yeah.
lose your marriage for the sake of a business, or your
No.
communication, or your depth of marriage, or whatever. I totally
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
I've been working with my husband since I was 21, is when I started all this stuff. He did have a job for a long time, but I had to be like, you're not being a bitch or whatever. If you're like, hey, I noticed, this isn't updated and you got to go do that. That's just like part of
For
the
sure.
business. So for me, it was like learning how to assert myself, like, hey, so I do understand that sometimes it can be rough. And when people go into business with their partner, I think that you really have to say work is work and life is life. I don't merge my personal life at all. I don't share anything. I'm trying to be better because my students always want me to, but I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm behind a moat and a fortress, and I don't tell people what my kids, I just don't do that. And I never have since my youngest was 3, when he asked for all the hippie ladies to stop hugging him at a conference because he don't
Sure.
like it. And I was like, okay, good for you. So
Yeah.
then I was like, I'll meet you guys back at the room. Nobody
Yeah.
comes down to see mom when mom's done her talk. I'll find you guys, and so learning and appreciating those aspects about each other is really important, and it's key to longevity, because
For
this is
sure.
something that could be around for a while. I mean, you guys in a lot of ways are creating an environment that would have been a magazine that you were dying, it's like Mother Earth News of the 80s, right?
Sure.
Or something like that, that was like when it came into your home, it was an experience.
Mm-hmm.
When you'd say, remember when, I don't know if I used to lay on the floor and go through the whole National Geographic, like as soon as it came in when I was little in the 80s. I mean, that was like, I just
You're so
love that kind of,
cute.
huh?
You're so cute.
I'm such a dork. But anyways, this is we have an opportunity with websites like yours to create this home for people,
Yeah.
that they know that good information's there and they're being listened to on the other end. And so has that been challenging, managing people's expectations with, what you can artistically and creatively and functionally put out?
Yeah, I think at this point, and still at this point, I feel like people just trust us. There's not usually any high demand regarding like putting their work out there. A lot of what we do is, I mean, on the creative side, like if we have any advertisers or affiliates, or just sharing people's events around, a lot of it's also like recycling their own
Mhm.
imagery or promotion. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but usually there's not like a super high demand or expectation when we are sharing.
Mhm. Oh, no, I
Um,
meant the user's expectations. Like the people, I mean, what you shared was great.
Okay.
on the other side of it, because I was going to ask that question next, because you do have a
Yeah.
lot of contributors, but I
Yeah.
do have a hard time managing users' expectations. Like, oh, you should have more of this or more of that. And you're like, we're literally putting stuff out all the time. We're
Gotcha.
working on it. Or has it been a pretty good process for you?
I feel like it's a sustainable process right now. Yeah, there's definitely, it's more so like what we put on ourselves. Like
Okay.
we got to be quicker and we're sitting on an X amount of videos, or like we just want to keep pumping out a lot of things. So I think the user experience is great. It's more so
Well,
like,
it is on, my end. I think it's
okay,
great. Whenever I go there, I'm always like really happy. But I just didn't, because those are things that like our students who go into business, and they'll come back to me and be like, hey, I didn't realize there were so many customer expectations and so many user expectations. And
or
I'm like, yeah. That's all I can, yeah, it's there.
yeah,
So I didn't know if you guys were, if you felt that way, also in your experience, because I feel like sometimes when you're in an environment that's as immersive like yours is, that people can get really attached to stuff or feel really strongly about stuff and then want to share,
sure,
so which is obviously a benefit to that kind of space because it means you're doing your job. People are loving it.
for
So what
sure.
is your herbal connection now? Like, how has your journey with herbs changed since the beginning of all this?
Yeah, I think going back to Mountain Rose, there's a lot of like blog, homemade, like culinary, like very, it was very hands-on because of a lot of the times in that creative world, I was doing the actual thing and then having a different relationship with like capturing that and putting it out in the world for messaging. And like I think the hands-on really opened up like, oh, you can infuse that into your daily life a lot more than I could even realize. So I'm definitely, when it comes to the herbal world, anything that I can make out of it, whether it is like fine art or if it's a culinary or I really appreciate like body care products. Even like building a garden, like that's very new to me and I love that whole side of just constantly trying to surround myself with herbs and plants. And yeah, Mason's really great too. Like he's always making herbal infusions, so just like secondhandly getting stuff from Mason. Yeah, I just have this appreciation even if I'm just like staring at a plant or like sitting with it. Like that's my biggest favorite hobby, is just like going out there and just sitting with it. Um, Whereas I think I did that when I was younger. I was always getting lost in fields. And when I was young, I even had like a whole neighborhood. They thought I was lost, and it was like a really scary situation for my parents. But I'm like building this bird's nest around me, and I like kept building it. I thought people were mad at me, so I'm just like hiding. But I was always doing that from such a young age, just finding a field of flowers and just sitting with it. So yeah, definitely it's a new world when I bring it into like the kitchen or just crafting with it, that sort of thing.
That's cool. So it sounds like you're very comfortable with herbalism in relation to your feral self.
For sure.
That's
All
me.
the
I'm
yeah.
still feral. I'm so bad.
I
I'm
know. I
always
made my
covered in
parents
dirt
sweat.
and skin knees.
Yes.
I'm getting a little bit more breakable as I get older, so I need to calm down. But
Sure. Yeah, when I first moved out to Oregon, it seemed like a whole new place to like get lost. And I like, my dad was like, you need to be more prepared and you need to watch out. And I'm just this like, I'll be okay. But yeah, just getting lost is, yeah, one of my favorite things to do.
I used to live in Astoria, and when
Hmm.
I was a child, and all that I remember, I was pretty young, but I remember, just the woods behind there was a large outcropping of woods and then like a cliff down to the ocean.
Beautiful.
But I remember we were on a military base, so we weren't rich. We couldn't afford a cliffside. But I just remember the of course the massive trees, but also just the ferns, and they would cover us and we'd like sit underneath them, and the look of Oregon is so, whenever I go out and visit, because we have relatives in Eugene, Cottage Grove, that whole area,
Cool.
and just remember like, seeing them and the landscape differences, are you a big traveler? So do you find a lot of inspiration and art in your travels, or?
In my mind, I am. I mean, there's always so many places I want to go. And I think growing up in Wisconsin, I was a little stubborn in my own way. Like, there's nothing in Wisconsin. But moving out to Oregon, a constant, like every weekend, I wanted to find somewhere new. Um, and then, yeah, moving back to Wisconsin, I have a new appreciation. I'm always on the hunt for like, what am
It's
I
so pretty out
missing?
there.
It is. And I feel bad, like growing up, I thought all we had was cornfields and cows. And that was like, that's all I described Wisconsin to people. Like, it's nothing great. But yeah, I was right on Lake Michigan and I took that for granted. But it is a beautiful place. And I'm, yeah, constantly looking for the new favorite destination.
I always joke with my husband. I think some of it's like that Midwestern thing. Like, I don't want to go back. There's nothing there. Like, my husband grew up in Illinois. He's like, no, nothing in Illinois for me ever. Like, it just doesn't ring his bell. Indiana, nope. Ohio, no. Like, and any of my students there, I'm not saying we got a thing against any of those places. I'm just, no, but
Yeah.
so like, he and I traveled all over the United States, and then we took our kids pretty much all over Europe and Northern Africa, and parts of Western Asia. And I still, my perspective is always, I think there's beauty everywhere we go. So I remember when we were doing some concert tour stuff and going through Alabama, and I lived in Alabama, and I'm trying to explain to these people that I'm traveling with, like, no, no, Alabama is amazing. And they're all from Illinois, and they're like, yeah, there's nothing good in the South, and there's nothing good, and it's just, so I think sometimes we get locked in our own mindset about where either we came from. It's either I never want to go back there, or everything is not as good as, right? Where I never had a home. So I
Mm-hmm.
moved so much as a child that I never had a set place. So I always look at everything as like, oh, the cool next adventure, where, people who've spent time, I always feel like I don't think they get to appreciate it enough. And then sometimes when you come back and you look at it with an outsider's eye, you're like, damn, this is beautiful. Like, what was
Oh,
I running from? But I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of my ramble. I apologize.
don't apologize ever.
But no, yeah, I mean, there's, I think that there's so much beauty in the United States just based on its size. And we literally have like almost every type of geography in the world. It's
Yeah.
amazing to me that we don't see it or appreciate it more. We don't have a rail system where, you can't hop on I feel like going to the panhandle of Texas. I want to go there, and you can get off the train and you're there, so I can't wait for that to happen, because I learned to appreciate the train systems in other countries. But um, if you have any creative career advice for people who are botanical illustrators or want to make websites or advertising and promotional materials for
Yeah.
herbal type businesses, do you have any suggestions for people? Because you've been doing this for a while. You have a very distinct style. You've been associated, artistically and creatively in a lot of different ways with really great organizations. So, do you have anything to share with people?
Yeah, I think if you're wanting it to do it for yourself, I think a lot of people struggle with it needs to look a certain way, or people feel like it needs to be perfect. And I'm a big advocate for um lowering your expectations, especially when you start. Um
Hmm.
Again, going back to that fly on the wall, I think people in this day and time, it's unfortunate. Like it's a very quick, fast pace. You got to like grab someone's attention, and sometimes it doesn't get the eyeballs that it deserves when it comes to like promoting or this and that. And I know I definitely feel it. Like you put so much time and effort, and then you see the results, and it just doesn't feel like it's grabbing the audience set or the amount that you want it to,
Hmm.
specifically for social media. But I think my advice is just know what your goal is. Like what's the story, what's the messaging? Um Try to keep it like authentic. Um And then like on the technical side, that's kind of like the first, I guess, like lower the it needs to be perfect, because that's maybe what's stopping a lot of people. Like creatively is like it needs to look a certain way, and then you kind of lose what's real and what's not real, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we tell our students, look, if you don't think it's right, and you're only stopping because it's not perfect,
Yeah.
submit it anyways. I'll tell you what's going on. Or maybe I'll say, hey, no, it is fine. You're good. But
Yeah.
don't let your need for perfection stop you from producing. And I think that helps a lot of people. Like that's basically what you were saying, right? Like,
Yeah, and when I'm on the web or social media, like what I'm drawn to is that very homebody, homestead, or just like very organic. And yeah, it's not perfect on the technical term, but it's perfect. Like that's what makes it perfect for me.
the
Is
human touch.
the human touch. Like put your
I
hand
am
in there if you
AI.
can. Yes. Like people love to see a face too. Like I try to encourage Mason and he does well, but like right off the bat, like everyone loves like if you just hop on and if you can like create, the reels, they get a little bit more traction, and like
Mhm.
anything that's moving is automatically going to grab the attention quicker. So just like hopping on and saying updates or introducing yourself again or that sort of thing, or talk about the course that you want to promote or the school, or if you're able to do that,
Mhm.
that's usually a quick and easy way to just hop on. Um,
I'm so bad with that. I hate being in front of a camera. I hate
Same.
it. I'm always fidgeting. I hate it. I'm not comfortable at all. Like,
People love you. Like,
yeah,
what?
I'm like the worst. I think there's probably like 5 videos out there of me with my probably two of them Mason hats. No, what I mean, like I just don't do
It's
well with
hard.
that. So, I understand like that when people say they struggle with that. But
Yeah,
having other things that, you mentioned movement and voice, and I think that helps a lot of people too, especially a lot of our students go into producing product. And
sure.
so that's can be a very, well, you put it on your face, you can, so you can do that, or this is what it looks like. So I think they'll find that really helpful. Because I think that the drive to produce is probably something that you guys struggle with. It's like, it's constant. It's
Yeah,
exhausting. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. And I think that if we can from the beginning encourage the next generation who's going to be these kinds of producers or set up schools or have companies and things like that, that it's managing expectations. Like, it's not fair for the world to expect us to be producing 8 hours all day long, right? But
Yeah.
we're in that, a lot of businesses are in that cycle, and it's very exhausting just watching it, you know? What do they say? People are now spending like 3 hours a day, like just watching these like little videos on things. And I'm like, I don't even have them on my phone because I don't want
Yeah.
to do that. I don't want to, you know, mind melt that way. So I think those are good tips that you shared, you know.
Thanks. And yeah, and even like the way I work too is it's about balance. And sometimes it's hard for me to, if I'm on the computer and if I'm doing something like editing something, and then I gotta switch over and then I gotta turn on like a more creative part of my brain, and then I need to like brainstorm about the next week. What I like to do if I am in that creative mindset, I like to batch that, because if you're needing to be creative and take photos or videos, there's a lot of that mental strain. So if you can kind of ride that wave and just like batch, like, okay, I'm going to create all my photos for my products today in 2 hours, and like just having that little bubble
Mhm.
helps me.
Yeah, we suggest, we tell students if it's not scheduled, it's not getting done. So when
Yeah.
it comes to your business stuff, like, you know, I'm like, hey, you know, get it scheduled if you, because every time you go from one task to another, I don't know if this is true for you. I've read that people experience this. I do know it's true for me.
Yeah.
It's a shift. You know, so I tend to do all my emails at once. I tend to do all of my social at once, or all, because if I going from one to the other, I find like my productivity goes down a lot, you know, just trying to shift from this hello, how are you doing, to oh, now I've got to be creative, you know, like it's a,
Yeah.
and where you have so much creativity in all of your work, do you find that it's hard for you to shift between those tasks if you're not batching?
Definitely. I feel like yeah, for me I learned like, oh, if I set my Fridays as like my fun days. So that's where
Oh,
I
thank
can,
you. We're on your fun day.
I know this is fun.
I hope so.
Because oh, that's right. It's Friday.
I'll send you a bottle of whiskey later.
Perfect.
We'll do a follow-up drinking whiskey.
Yes. I love that. But yeah, that is like it takes a lot for me to switch back and forth. Or if I am doing that like boring task, I'm always thinking about the fun thing that I want to do. So I've learned that okay, if I just have a singular day, like let loose, have all the fun, be outside, shoot some video, do a photo here and there, then I can usually be more productive throughout the rest of the week.
Oh, that's really a nice thing to do for yourself too.
Yes.
Because I think we need to, I think that one of the things that business owners forget is that they need to um not, in the effort to produce or create money making ventures, that all of that came from your creativity and your, you know, your desire and your dream. But if you never acknowledge or work with that, this doesn't work. It can't, because there's nothing feeding it anymore. So it sounds like you're giving yourself a nice weekly infusion of the
Yeah.
good stuff. That's a good idea. People should really take heart when you hear this, guys, students.
Well,
Fun
and it's
day. Your
yeah,
manic Monday.
it's so for me, yeah, because I see it in Mason, like he gets this burnout type of feeling, and then if you're lagging and you're dragging your feet, you just become less proactive, and then you're giving yourself all this like guilt for not being at your A game. And I am a strong like going back to Mountain Rose, it was like you need to have fun first of all, and if you're feeling stressed, like go take a walk outside. Like there needs to be balance, and like you said, we're nature loving people. We want to have fun crafting and making. And I know it's hard when you have a business to like make things work out, but even if it's a minute, like go put your face in some sunshine and I don't know.
Not the whiskey, like I was saying earlier,
Well, that
people, the
too. You can
sunshine.
bring it with you.
And I think we need to also, like, as a world, understand that most huge innovation came from someone's B game. Because your B game allows you space to not be perfect and
Yes.
to let other things come in and mesh and blend, which creates the A game product. So
Percent. Yeah.
maybe, all of us being kinder to ourselves would probably be really helpful. Is there anything you want to share about HerbRally before I let you go? Because we're coming close to the end of our time. I could
Yeah.
talk to you all day, but I know you have a life and it's your fun day, so I can't monopolize you. But is there anything you want to share with us about HerbRally? Any upcoming things that you guys are going to be doing,
Ooh.
or I mean, uh, I want our students to go and get memberships. I think it's a great place. I think it's way too cheap. And I think you guys are definitely worth 3 or 4 times the amount of money that the membership costs. So I just want people to know that this is a really great value. So is there anything that you would like to share with us?
I just have a quick question. Did your screen, am I still here?
Yeah.
Okay. It just shrunk. Sorry.
Oh.
Like, where did you go?
I'm running to. No, on
Perfect.
mine, you're exactly where you've always been.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Um,
You're where you need to be.
you're so sweet. I think if for HerbRally, I think we are, because we are like a resource hub for a lot of different businesses, and that is always the primary goal for HerbRally, is just to share as much diversity, and just anyone and everyone is welcome here, and that's always like really fun to be a part of. I think for ourselves, we're giving ourselves more of the green light to be more out there. And that's why I think Mason is really thriving in like the herbalist hour. Um, and for me, I think like little creative projects here and there that like sort of feeds my itch. So I feel like we've been talking about like this herbalist book for a while, but that sort of kind of goes with the herbalist hour. I've always wanted like this cute little coffee book where we like grab a quote from one of the guest speakers, and we do like some headshots with them when we can, or when they're in person and that sort of thing. So that's always been like a really fun little project for me and Mason. And yeah, I think just what else do we got going on here? Um,
So, what is your favorite part of the website? If you were coming as a user, where would your hub be?
ah, I think I think well, there's two that come to my mind. I think the schoolhouse is a really cool area. I feel like that's a good all around feel for HerbRally. Is it's still touching base with like sharing all different teachers and all their different point of views, while still having like some creative direction, and just being able to highlight all these different courses. And yeah, I really enjoy the schoolhouse. Um, the Art of Frugal Nutrition is also like a really fun idea that Mason always I feel like that's his baby. Like he loves frugality and nutrition. And I feel like from a creative point, I had like the most fun doing that because a lot of that is videos that I've worked with, and the dumpster diving segment is always like a fun topic to tell my friends, like, oh, you should check this out. They're like, what the heck is going on here? Um, so yeah, I would say those two places I like to venture out and check out. The monographs is also like a really resourceful place if you want to learn about like specific plants. And yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff for people to check out. So
Yes.
those are three that I think your descriptions were really good. Like I think
Thanks.
so hopefully people will check it out. Me and my 5 listeners.
That's perfect.
But so I should let you go, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. It's been so
Yeah.
much fun. Huge fan of your work.
Oh, thank you.
If I ever need an event poster, you're the first person I'm gonna call.
You're
I
so
just really
sweet.
like it. I like your flow and your feel. And I mentioned to Mason, I said, I'm gonna have so much fun talking to Amanda because I started off art and art history in college. So
Oh,
that's, we would any place we traveled, there was 2 places I would go. I would take the kids to art museum and a church because they're so different everywhere in the world, and it wouldn't necessarily be a church; it could be a mosque or whatever. But because those are the places where you can kind of see where how a culture developed from time
sure.
and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, so I was just excited to talk to someone who really uses their artistic ability to thrive in the herbal world. So I really like that. And I was just excited to get to talk to you. So thank you so much for taking the time with us today.
Yeah, and I appreciate you. This is my first interview, and yeah. It's
Well, I can't wait for the artist in the herbal world to be like, there is a place for us, not just designing labels.
yes.
Like because we have so many creative students who need to know that there's people out there just like them who are creative and artistic and all that fun stuff. So, anyways, I will let you go so you can get on with your day and have a fun day. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.